my name is Zach Spaulding, and I'm Assistant Manager at the Southeastern New York Library and Resource Council. And this video is going to go over how to install Archipelago Commons 1.0 Release Candidate 1. If you're not familiar, Archipelago is a digital access management tool, and you can view it at archipelago.nyc, where you can find access to the documentation and support and community links. There's also a sandbox site as well if you wanted to experiment with Archipelago before installing it. You come here and you go to log in and you can create yourself an account, and I believe they have to verify you first, but you can also just click on around and you can start to get an idea of what Archipelago is and what it can do. But for this, we are actually just going to follow their instructions that they have on their site. So we got the documentation, and we're doing this in a Ubuntu, so follow the guide. And step-by-step Ubuntu. So these were for 1804. We're doing it in 20.04 LTS, but I'm not expecting any problems. So let's get started. So we're going to scroll down, and first we're going to get all this taken care of so we can get Docker installed. I'll minimize that a little bit. Let this run. So this part's all going good. And the update. And this is where we actually install the Docker. And then we'll get a status when it is done. Install is finished. So we're just going to check that, and it's green, so that means it's running. Next bit, we're now going to add our current user to the Docker group. And then we're going to log out and log back in so we can get those group changes. And then we're going to install the Docker Composer. And that's it. Alright, so next, do you have a previous version of running? We do not, so we're just going to skip to step 1, deployment. Alright, so we're going to start with, we're going to clone it. And we're going to change the folder. Now right here, they're doing a checkout of a beta version, but now I know they're up to release candidate 1, so we're going to set that to release candidate 1. And we've been switched to that. And then we're going to cut, and then the file we want is the Docker Composer-Linux. And we're going to set that to Docker. And now the instructions they have are meant if you run this on a laptop or a desktop and you're just running for a local host install. In this case, we're doing this on an EC2 server. So I want to make a few changes for this environment. So I'm going to go in my Docker Compose file, and I'm going to change the default port to 80. And then I got to go into the config sys. And if I look for 8183, I have a bunch of these config files that come up as localhost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all these files from localhost to my domain name of test.empire.edc.org. So as we get into installing everything, all that variable will be taken care of. So I'm going to pause this for a second while I make that change, and then we'll get back to finishing the install. And after that, I've made the change. I'm just going to just double check to make sure I got all my local hosts taken care of. And go into the list, Empire. Alright, looks like we're all set. So now we're just going to move on to the next step in the instructions here. So now that we did the Docker Compose, I should also just note when we did Docker Compose, in here it's Nginx, but now they're using Linux, so just be aware of that change. But now we're going to start up the Docker. I'm going to go right to that and do my compose. And now it's going in, it's building containers. So I'm just going to pause this for a minute while it runs. See, it ran through and everything completed. So our next step, let's see here. We're going to do some ownership changes here. And now we're going to run execution in bash. That's just going to do some change ownership in the image. And now now part of this comes with a minnow S3 bucket, so we're going to go and we're going to get that set up. So in case it's test empire adc.org and it's 9,000. So, and it's right there, minnow and minnow 123 on my username and password. I'm not going to save that, but we're going to create, let's see. And then we have to create a bucket named Archipelago, which we will do. Add a bucket name, and we have Archipelago bucket. So, okay, we're going to run this Docker command here. That's going to do a bash script. It's downloading all the different Drupal modules that we need. And let's see, while that runs, we're going to, looks like our next thing will be a quick setup script here. So we just got to wait for this to go. And I'm just going to pause this for a minute while it runs. Alright, that got done running. And so now we're just going to run this quick little script that ran. And now we're going to be doing the Drupal install for Docker. Just some things to note. This does take a little while to run. Like we're talking 10, 20, maybe half an hour. It also creates a default user for Archipelago. So in this case, it's doing admin with a password of Archipelago. So, and it tells you right here, you should change that if you're doing a public system. Since I'm just doing a test, I'm just going to leave it as is, but just wanted to point that out. And everything else we'll just leave the way it is. And I'll paste that and let that run. So, like I said, this is going to take a little while, so I'm just going to pause. Here are the command completed. Everything went fine. So moving on in our instructions. So it's going to be creating some other Drupal users. Demo, we'll do that. And then we're going to be deploying some displays. So we have something to work with. Now with that, we are done. So now if I just I'm going to do a quick test to make sure it came up. And it's up and running, at least candidate 1. So let's go to an actual web browser. And here we are at the web browser for it, and it is up and running. We're going to log in. And we'll use that default credentials of admin and Archipelago. And we're going to do a quick content add just to make sure everything's working. Click on add content. And let's say digital objects. And let's say my test. Let's see, photograph, test image, and we're just going to move on to the next step. And I'm just going to skip all this for now because I'm just doing my test. Now we're going to attach a file. I have a file attached, and we're just going to keep on going. We'll save. just publish it, say publish. Alright, and there's my image. And I'm just going to log out just so we can see what it looks like from the outside. Like I said, so I've successfully installed the software and uploaded an image. You should probably see my next video on how to install an SSL certificate, which will probably help with some browser issues that you might experience. And then I plan to do a few more videos on different features of Archipelago. Thank you for watching.